Welcome, folks. Welcome to episode 35 of Something More Than Gibberish. Today we've got Miss Ieshya Parker. You will not be disappointed. She's a very strong person, very caring, very heartfelt. Place she comes from in her written work, very supportive, particularly of women, well-spoken, powerful pieces, does a host of things behind the scenes with hosting live venues to give people a chance to speak their words. On Instagram, Miss Parker runs lives again to give people a chance to voice their sentiments. If you are not confident in presenting your own work, she's very supportive of reciting your piece just to get your word out there. It is phenomenal. I have only shared a screen with Miss Parker once before, but I'm across some of her work, so really looking forward to getting to know the inner side of Miss Parker and what drives her. Hopefully Gemini and Miss Parker won't be far away. I will put in a comment is Miss Parker. Ieshya Parker. Let's pin this comment. And my co-host is in the room, Miss. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for visiting the.
Hello, sir.
Hello. How are we?
We're doing okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and repost the comment. So, because you have Ieshya Parker, that's okay.
That's just
okay.
a typo.
I
The
know.
thing is that the cumbersome thumbs just got in the way.
That's okay. I'll go ahead and I'll do it on then you can go ahead and
And I'll bring Miss Parker up.
Yes. And I should probably get my glasses because I can't see anything.
Oh dear. Hello, Ieshya. How are you?
I'm amazing. I am amazing.
First off, thank you for agreeing to feature on the show. I am so excited. I have heard some of your work and I've heard so much about you, so I'm really looking forward to getting to know the inner side, the drivers of Ieshya Parker. I was just telling the guests that you do so much to give people a voice, and you in-person events and on Instagram. That's commendable because yes, not everybody is confident in speaking their word, and I think that's good how you provide that safe space for people to do that.
I don't need to I just do an echo. This echo keeps repeating.
I'm getting some echo from you as well.
Do I need to power down and come back up?
Okay. Gemini, do you get much echo from me or?
I'm not getting an echo. No, are you getting an echo from me?
No.
Okay.
There must be something in Miss Barker's connection.
Yeah, we're connecting across states and then across the water, so it's not uncommon.
Did you post that comment?
Yes, I did. It's the last one, so if you can just pin it.
Done. Without the typo.
It's understandable. The K is not that far from the I. Hello,
Look,
Larry.
I'm just...
Mic check.
Sounds better. Yes.
Much better. You were repeating yourself, and it was very confusing. Hi, everybody. So thank you guys for having me. I guess what I'll do is when you're talking, I'll mute and see if that helps out. Yeah.
So, does it come across more clear now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, in case you missed the start, as I said, thank you for agreeing to be on the show. I am personally very excited to get to know more about what drives Miss Parker. A lot of the initiatives you've got coming up, and also the journey to get to here. Really, yeah, interested to explore that. And of course, to hear your pieces and expound on your recitals as well. Gemini, did you have anything? Or?
She already knows. I'm going to be blushing throughout your performance today. I know you don't expect anything less from me, so I will not disappoint you. And I know you will not disappoint me at all. So this is your option, your opportunity to go ahead and showcase your work. You have extensive work, so I'm not going to try to put you in a box. So be free, feel free.
Okay. So I will start, first of all, saying thank you for having me. I'm excited to get into this conversation, this beautiful conversation about poetry and art and how we move in that. And I'm so excited and honored to be in the presence of you guys too for doing the work. Anytime I can get with someone who does the work and has the love and the spirit of poetry, I'm all on board. So I will spit my affirmation, and then you let me know how you want me to move, and I'm going to move just like that.
Okay, sounds good.
I write. I write with the love and conviction of my ancestors. I was born to write. Arthur A. Adams, grandfather, Leola Lillian Hollis, grandmother, Yvonne Zenobia Adams Parker, all wrapped tightly in my vocal cords, pressed heavy into my pen. Give me the strength to move mountains. Swim tsunamis because surfboards, well, they just get in my way. I spit flames with hot words, traveling on cool breezes. I am the 8th, 9th, 10th wonder of my world. You can call me whatever you like. But poet is what I answer to. This is my affirmation, and there are no other words needed. What's good, family? What's good?
I love it. I love it. That's so. The name was it Adam Parker? Adriana?
My grandfather's name is Howard Arthur Adams. My grandmother is Leola Lillian Hollis, and my mother's name is Yvonne Zenobia Adams Parker.
So it was from your grandmother where it all started, wasn't it? The poetry.
Actually, it did start with her, but my love started with my mom. So my grandmother introduced me to Edgar Allan Poe. She would pay us $5 to remember something. My grandmother was a music teacher. So if we learned something like out, brief candle, life is but a walking shadow, a poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. 'Tis a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and theory, signifying nothing. Then we got $5.
Yeah. Well, I think it was $5 well invested, considering the amount of people that you reach, that you touch, that you empower today. It's that classic pebble in the pond, right?
And I think that that was the thing, is that I wasn't a good student. Later in life, I found out I had a lot of learning disabilities. So memorizing stuff, my grandmother would say, "How come you can't read a book, but you can remember every inflection in a song, or you can remember a poem?" And she would say, "I don't understand that." And I was like, "I don't understand it either. But basic English and math is not a good look for me." So she tried to think of ways to spark my energy and my enthusiasm. And poetry was that I loved Edgar Allan Poe, I loved Emily Dickinson, but was never introduced to. I heard about African American poets, but was never introduced to any of those because my grandmother was a teacher. So she was giving me what the curriculum was for mainstream education.
Yeah.
And so, but my love for poetry, my heart is with my mom, and hopefully y'all gonna make me cry, and I'm gonna be mad at y'all. But my mother used to write vigorously and always. And so when she would say, "Hey, come sit down and listen to this that I wrote. Hey, come listen to this piece of the book I wrote. Hey, come listen to this poem." And I was at her feet at a very young age. And that's when I fell in love with poetry. I liked poetry, but I fell in love with poetry through my mother's voice.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So that we're through initially by the memorization that was instigated by a grandma, and then listening to your mum's work. And then you built on that, didn't you? You've started to create platforms for your mother to voice her work, which unfortunately didn't eventuate. But and to date, you still persevere with the lives in your locality. That's great, because to me, I love when you see the effects of the pebble that was dropped by your grandmother, is teaching you to memorize, right? And then the ongoing effects many years later, where you have opened the door to so many people.
I love I I want people to win. That's it. And I think that my voice, being a child of domestic violence, being a survivor of rape, being a survivor of abuse, my voice was always challenged. My voice was always told, I was always never in control of my own voice. And so finding the outlet of, I wouldn't have never called myself. I think I finally owned the ownership of Poet in 2000. I want to say 2014 or 15. I didn't pick up a pen for myself until after my mother left out of here. And so I never would have called myself a poet. But I think poetry is the grounding place, and the power comes from getting to know your own voice through your written word, and then getting to own it through written word. So I want to be a catalyst. I want to be a cheerleader for that at all times.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's important, isn't it? We reach that point in life where suddenly we write. I didn't reach it till I think I would have been in my early 30s. When until then I had no interest at all in writing. But then there comes that point in time in your life, something happens, and then suddenly you start looking within, and then you start writing, and that's phenomenal. So, Miss Parker, this show is all about our featured guest, and today it's all about you. We might ask questions, but I want you to feel free to showcase anything that you want to about yourself, about what you do, about the doors you open for people, what drives you. free to recite as much as you want and discuss those pieces. I've only shared a screen with you briefly once, I think, with Arsenio, and it's an honor. I'm really looking forward to this couple of hours chatting just with you. It's really good. And of course, Miss Gemini sort of bashing me up on the side as she normally does, but no, really looking forward to this. So, tell us
Well,
about the your in-person events that you run and where and how often you do that.
well, I think I'll take you back to when I found spoken word, and then move you forward, if that's okay. And if you have any
Sure.
questions, by all means, just ask me. Um, so in the beginning, so there was this love for, like I was saying, my mom would write a poem and she'd recite it. And I think that I would home into the humanity of the poem and knowing the space that my mom was in. So I used to tell my mom, hey, you need to let people hear your voice. You need to let people, you're so amazing. And I remember in 2011, well, prior to that, I had gone to an event. I'll tell you when I found spoken word, but prior to that, I had gone to an event and they did a women's amateur poetry slam. I mean, they did a women's poetry slam. And what they did was they mixed men and women with that slam. And and the male won it. And I was like, well, if it's a women's slam, why are there men in here and they don't have poems that are uplifting women? They're just poems.
Mm.
And so I was upset and I was complaining about it. And I had this beautiful friend of mine, her name is Adrienne Hernandez, God rest her soul. And she said to me, and this was a lesson learned, she said, you're complaining, you're upset, you're mad about it, but what are you doing, Miss Women's Empowerment? And I said, oh, so you just gonna talk to me like that? You just gonna shut me up like that? And so it's so interesting that you can get mad about something or you can be frustrated with someone who's doing the work that they're supposed to do. And you're sitting on the sidelines making comments about what they should have done and how they should have done it. And then so there is when spoken word voices heard, amateur poetry, women's amateur poetry slam happened. It was the way that I wanted to see a women's amateur poetry slam done. And it was the way that I wanted to cultivate it and what value I felt it needed. And so secretively, I had done it because I wanted my mom to finally get on a stage because I found spoken word in 2002 and fell in love with it because I know ABC rhyme. I know A, B rhyme from my mother, right? And so I'm hearing this free verse and I'm hearing these metaphors and I fell in love. And I went to my first one and it was at the Poetry Lounge. And the funny part about it is I didn't go for the poetry. A girlfriend of mine was meeting a guy and she said, I need you to be my wing woman. And I was like, I don't want to do none of that. I don't want to go to this thing, be your wing woman for nothing. And she was like, I need you to come. And so I reluctantly snatching my body away. You know how you snatch yourself like, I don't want to be here. So um, I'm snatching myself and my legs hurt because my knees are bad. And I'm standing in this long line to get into this thing called the Poetry Lounge. And I'm like, I don't care about none of this. We get there and the guys that we're supposed to meet are standing up, but we have these seats. And needless to say, we didn't really talk to them. And here it goes. A couple of poets came on, and then Malcolm Jamal Warner came on. And I was never a Malcolm Jamal Warner Theo fan. Like I love the show Cosby, but I wasn't all like, oh, I want to have his baby kind of thing. But I met grown, I met grown Malcolm, and I was like, oh, I could this poetry thing, I could have his baby now. Like Theo wasn't my thing, but but listening to him and articulate and craft these words and create this music body of words that translated into melodies in my ear was so amazing. And so that's when I got hooked. I was like, oh, this feels good. And then I found it. Then I found Fly Poet, and then it was history. I was hooked first in the row to listen, and that was one of the things. First in the row to listen, and always around for the poetry, right? So that's how I found spoken word. So finding spoken word and knowing my mom, I was like, Mom, you should try it. Then I was like, oh, well, maybe they won't receive my mother's poetry because it's not free verse. It's ABC or AA rhyme scheme. And I said, regardless, okay. So 2011 came and I'm secretly, Spirit comes to me. The creator says, you're never going to reach your mother because you're not in the position to reach your mom. Because she's going to always think that you are her daughter and you're supposed to cheer her on, versus having a viable ear that says you're amazing. And so I said, well, I'll create the space. And so in conjunction with having been told off by my friend Adrian about how don't be talking about nobody else's stuff, you get up there and do it. So now I created and married the two, and Spoken Word Voices Heard Women's Amateur Poetry Slam was birthed. And we had an 8-year run where we crowned 8 queens and brought them out. And most of the women that came to my stage were journal writers. None of them had really hit a stage, or some of them were open micers hanging in the back of the room and saying, I want to speak I want my voice to be heard, but I'm scared. And so when I would have these auditions, women would open up their journals and saying, this is the very first time I've opened my journal. And I feel honored and felt like it was a safe space, and that you said yes to yourself, but I was a safe space for your yes. And so that's how Spoken Word Voices and Amateur Poetry Slam got developed. And that was the first show I curated for this thing called poetry. And I was not a poet at the time. I was just creating platforms for it.
Well, that's brave, isn't it? Especially when if you hadn't seen your own capabilities as a poet, and then to open something like that, that's brave. That's really commendable.
And
Generally
that's
we
oh, sorry.
generally we tend to stay with what we know and within our comfort zone, but to do that is phenomenal, highly commendable. Sorry, Gemini, I'll cut you off.
No, I cut you off. That speaks volumes, and so that explains why you curated Miss Parker Speaks Insomniacs the way you did during COVID. Why you were able to, because it felt like it was first nature to you to create the space that you did for us in order to interact and write and laugh and cry during the pandemic up until 3 and 4 in the morning. Like, some of us still had jobs, but we would hang out from 9 o'clock up until sometimes 5 o'clock the next day.
That's when you went to bed, but the rest of your trifling classmates would keep me up until 7 o'clock my time. So 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 o'clock in the morning would not let me go off. You would be like, okay, I got to go.
A couple of times I fell asleep on there.
Yes.
But no,
That doesn't sound like you, Gemini, much.
you see, and here we get to the point where I threaten to hit him in the throat, and he complains that I am abusive.
I was being kind. I said that doesn't sound like you falling asleep on a show. It's just
The whole rolling your eyes thing kind of took that away. Anyway, so I know that you said that your mom did not get a chance to grace the stage. Did she get a chance to experience any part of your curated shows?
No,
Not at all.
the show, our first one, I did it in March because March is Women's National History Month, and I always wanted it to be in that month. So we did our first one in 2011, and my mother passed away in November. Wait, my grandmother had passed away in November of 2000. 2010. My mother passed away in June of 2011. Like
All
10
right.
months to the day. 10 months to the day I lost both my grandmother and my mother. So she didn't get to. She was in the hospital, and I said, Mom, I secretly created this platform for you. So I want you to be on my show next year. And she said yes, and that she would try to. I think, am I spinning? Because I see y'all spinning.
No, you're not spinning for me, but Gemini is.
Okay. So I said I secretly did this for you. I was hoping that you would come on. And she said, well, let me get out of this hospital and we'll see about me doing it. And she transitioned 2 weeks after leaving the hospital.
That's that would have been quite a really tough year for you. Sort of 10 months to lose your grandmother and then your mum. Obviously, two women, very prominent women in your life in such a close span. That would have been very, very challenging.
Yeah, it was. Well, my grandmother passed away at a very, she passed away in her 90s. So it wasn't as much of a shock, but my mother was on the recovery and recovering very fast. And then to lose her, like I ended up having to do CPR and first aid on my mother. And
Mm.
so to lose her like that was very devastating.
Yeah,
It was kind of like, it's kind of like being in a trauma, like it's kind of like being in an earthquake, and things are falling apart across you, then going into a still movie that you replay over and over again, and you're just asking God to just remove those thoughts so that you can just have a sleep for a little while, just
yeah,
sleep for a little while. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, as I said, two prominent entities in your life who were obviously very close to you. To lose them in that space of 10 months, that's very challenging. But I always see a silver cloud, a silver lining in every dark cloud. I mean, it's just drove you, let's say, to really to do what you do now, to provide that space for people. I mean, it is sad that your mum never got a chance to perform on your own on the show that you created for her, but I'm sure she's hears every word at every show that you facilitate. I'm very proud of what you do, and I'm sure she's touched by the many people that you've given opportunity to voice their word, to voice their pain, to voice their journey. Sadly, in the world we live in, abuse and rape and trauma is abundant. Um, so
Yeah.
giving people that opportunity is big. It's great. Um,
I think that people like myself and like you and like Gemini, we don't think about the impact. We think about the work that needs to happen for the impact.
mm,
And so when I hear people say these things, it's kind of hard for me to kind of absorb. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did that. Oh, yeah, I did that. That's right, I did that. I'm in the busyness of being busy of the mission and the journey, and to celebrate. And I have to give pause. And this is one of those days I get to give pause and say, I have done,
mm.
and I am making a difference, whether it's one person or it's several people, you know. Um, and Jim and I was talking about the Insomniacs. The Insomniacs was born off of me on Facebook, and Facebook is where we originally started. And it was, you couldn't bring anybody in, you're just talking to a dead screen. But I had so many people in my comments because I would call myself an insomniac poet. And so all these people started coming around, and I got to give shout outs to Emerald, not Emerald, Poet Green. Poet Green was like, we should do Zoom. And I was like, okay. And then during that time, also it was a very tumultuous time because I became homeless. And so when we started doing the Zooms, I was doing Insomniacs in my car I was at a friend's house, and my friend would give me a cord to tie into my laptop so I could hold these sessions. And so the original Insomniacs got to see the journey from me going from my car into this apartment that I have now and having nothing in the apartment but myself. And then what Mr. Witts would call lovingly the blue room, we would be it was so much echo here that I didn't want my neighbors to complain, so I would hide myself in a closet. Go figure. I'm trying to get everybody else out the closet, and here I am in the closet. I'm trying to get the poets out the closet, and now I'm in the closet.
I love it.
So the closet, I painted the closet blue and white. I painted my house part of blue and white, and so it had "Dream Big" on the back of the closet, and so we would be in there, and I'd have a fan underneath my desk because it was hot. So it was so hot in there during the summertime, but we were shaking and we were rocking. And then I didn't realize how much of a need it was because we would sometimes have 25 people, sometimes we'd have 5, but everybody was coming in. And it was so interesting. I've never been ashamed of my circumstance because we are human. Today you can be on top of the world. Tomorrow you could be under the gravel. And so, and as a human, I know that I have embarrassing moments that I don't want to share. But as being an older woman, a seasoned woman, I know that sharing my story might help someone else with theirs and go through and navigate this world a little bit better. So
That is so true, and I live by that. There isn't anybody amongst us that uh, can say that they got moments which they regret or embarrassed about.
right,
I don't think anyone can cast that stone. And I admire strength of people who can stand up and say, "Yep, I did that. Yes, I made that mistake." In acknowledging it, you own it and you grow through it, and that's the strength. To err is human,
right, right,
but to rise above that is
right.
godly.
Got it. Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad I did not miss any of that. My iPhone overheated and it just said, you know what? Shut up. Just shut down. Just shut down altogether. So I'm at 40%. I don't know what's this going to look like. I took off the case, but it's still warm. So we'll see what it looks like.
Well, don't put it in the closet, Gemini.
We plan on staying completely out of the closet. And I was clawing my way at the walls to kind of stay in the rest of the way. I already had 1 foot out when I met you. And then like you try to yank me out and I'm holding on to the door, scraping the walls, grabbing the hangers. But I finally made it out.
Yes, and look at you. I'm so proud. I know I knew the dragon. I knew the wolf. I knew all the hunters that live in you because I see you. And behind the blushing and all of that, there's a very powerful, spirited woman who is amazing. And I see you out here doing some of the work, in your community. You are a powerhouse, and you should always know that. And if no one else tells you, I'm going to always tell you. So,
Enough about me now. It's here to talk about you, woman. Don't try to deflect.
okay, all right. So the Insomniacs was born. We did 2 years in the Insomniacs. I've also curated shows like the Seven Kings, and it's still on. You can still look at the whole show, and then the Feminine Fire and the Feminine Flame, Embrace Your Heat with the women. And so those shows were curated. Like we had, like I don't play. I don't play about professionalism, and I don't play about I don't play about poetry. So we would have a Zoom meeting that was when we needed to rehearse. And so the women had to change scenes on this camera. And it was such a beautiful thing. So doing full on shows here on Instagram has been one of the signature things that I know I do. Like, I don't play with that. Like, I would tell them, can you turn off the light and turn it back on? Can you change this? Can we do this? And I would say, and I would do this. And what I loved especially about the women, the men were amazing too, but what I loved about the women is like there was no hesitation. You could see their eyes moving like, how the hell, I know she ain't asking for this or how she gonna do this, but I can't say no because it sound good. And I think it's gonna be great. And so curating full on shows here on IG that didn't nobody have to pay for and didn't nobody get paid for. I'm proud of. I'm proud of, because it took for me to curate these shows, it had to be these people who believed in my mission and my goal and who believed in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And who
Cleaver
believed
Chick says
in
she's an
themselves.
awesome coach.
Thank you. Thank you, Chick. So yeah, I believe poetry, and since we're talking about poetry, and I do these interviews and I do these shows and I curate these things, there's just some things I just think that we should all do. When you are going to someone's show, you need to know what the rules of engagement are, you know? If you're going to somebody's show, it can't be all about you. The thing that I want to see, because I've been a listener first. So as a person sitting in the audience, I'm coming from that perspective, not the artist. The artist came later.
Yes.
So, but then also as someone who's been in management and taught lessons and been a swim coach and done other things that lend to my poetry now, and my ethics, is that you don't go in somebody's house and just think you're going to do what the fuck you want to do. You're not. You don't get to do that. You come, you say, hey, I'm an erotic poet. That's what they call me. I don't call myself that. I call myself an intimate poet. And we'll get into that if y'all want to get into that. And I'll tell you why.
Into that.
Of course you are, because you're going to hear my poetry. But make no mistake, I do other poetry. I do other poems. But my lane, that place that I land in is that, right? Because I'm a passionate person. But I'm not going to go to somebody. You tell me that my feature is 20 minutes. I'm practicing a 20-minute set. I'm not going to go over my 20 minutes unless you say, hey, the other person didn't show up. Can you do some more poetry? Yes. Because I know as a curator that I have lined this up in a timely manner. If it's on IG, I've got an hour or I got 2 hours. I need to know specifically that we're going to move in that space. And I'm calculating for errors, right? However, what I don't want is someone just thinking, oh, well, I'm this person. I've got these accolades. And then now you've taken 5 minutes off my next person. Now you've taken 10 minutes off my next person. And now I'm scrambling to figure out how to do this. It's not a fair thing. Poetry is not about being selfish. And that's a selfish move. And not only, let's just go here. It's not just a selfish move, but it's an unprepared move. Because now you haven't taken the time to take your own poetry and then time it. You just said, I'm going to wing it. And so that means that if you're winging it, then what are you saying that it's okay to do in poetry? And then you have to ask yourself, by you winging it and by you being disrespectful in these ways, why we can't get paid what other people get paid.
I had the conversation with a friend concerning poetry and payment, and then with someone else concerning spaces and what they can do in those spaces, in someone else's space.
Right.
So definitely, I do agree with what you're stating. Not just like time, but content as well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You gotta know, like my poetry can't. I got a call at 6 o'clock this morning, y'all, and I was like, I don't know who is calling me, but it's somebody who I love very dearly, and they were like, "Hey, Aisha, I don't like people to call me Aisha because, and I'll tell you why later." Miss Parker, but they were on my earlier journey, so they know me by that, and they were like, there's a event going on at 5 o'clock today, and we would love for you to hit the stage, and I was like, what is the environment? What is the climate? And they said it was kid friendly. Why are you inviting me to a kid friendly place? I mean, I have some poetry for it, and then it was like, well, we know how you get down and you sexy. You should just come through. And I was like, well, I have two things I have to do today, so I can't. But then I said, you know what? I have to start dusting off the other poetry that I do because what I don't want to ever do is miss an opportunity to speak.
Mm.
But my first thing is when I come up to you and you say, hey, I want you to feature, I'm like, you know what I do? You know what my baseline is of what I do. Is that going to be in alignment with your goals and what you're doing here? And then how long do you want me to talk? How long do you want me to spit? And then I'm asking that question. I'm not winging it. Now that I know I have this feature, I know it's 20 minutes. Now I'm doing a 20-minute set in my bathtub. So now I'm soaking my ass for 20 minutes in my tub while I'm doing poetry because that's where I basically practice. So they'd be like, well, how do you know that you're doing a 20-minute set? Because I'm soaking in the tub for 20 minutes. I know that one of my poems is 5 minutes, one is 3 minutes, the other one maybe 6 minutes. So I divide the poems up the way that they go. So, and so people always ask me, when you come to a poetry event, you seem like you've been hitting every open mic. No, I spit in my tub like I spit on the stage.
Mm,
I do poetry in my tub. I lay on the floor and do poetry so that I can feel the projections of my voice in
Mm.
every angle. Either I'm sitting up or I'm standing up. The way you sit, poetry is different. The way you stand, poetry is different. If you lay on the floor, poetry is different. The way you feel it. So to be able to pull those spaces, now you get a different kind of energy.
definitely. Now that I did not know. I did not know. Bathtub, I can see. We want to talk about some other later or some other time. But laying on the floor, I never thought of it changing your perspective of delivery and how that would change the poem. Now I'm going to
Mhm.
have to practice that.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
I think that poetry is just poetry is like gym. Now I don't go to the gym much, but I not these days. But I do know how a gym works. So if you're going to lay on the ground, there's a different vibration. If you're going to sit, there's a still your trunk when you sit, your trunk shrinks.
Mm.
And when you stand, your trunk is open.
Mm,
So these are the spaces that you should be practicing your poetry. Plus, your lung capacity changes, and you get to strengthen your lung capacity. And so I'm not the only one out here with some moves, right? Tasha Jones said that she don't feel comfortable and feel like the poem is owned until she does 200 reps of poetry. That poem has to go through 200 reps. So if you listen to the people who have come before you, or the people who are in the trenches, or even somebody who just came in, you can learn something from anyone. I taught swim lessons. I taught 2-year-olds how to swim to 99-year-olds how to swim. And I learned something from the 2-year-old as much as I learned from the 99-year-old.
mm.
Mm.
But that's because I was open to learning. And a lot of times, if you want to take your poetry to the next level, you got to be open to learning and to relearning.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's harder to unlearn the things that you know than to learn something new. And before you can pour anything new in, Just like the Bible said about old wineskins. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins because it will burst. Back then, in that time, they knew that. And literally, if you poured new wine into old wineskins, it would just burst open because it could not hold the expansion of the wine while it was still fermenting.
Right. And I'll take it into another direction. Stagnant water doesn't taste as good as fresh running water.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if you're constantly allowing the learning and the teaching and the growing to flow, it will rotate out. It will hit the minerals of those next rocks that it goes through. When it comes back to you, it's fresh again. So yeah.
Amen. Never thought of it like that.
Very,
Yeah.
very wise sentiments.
Thank you.
Very wise. So, question, on your in-person events, are they females only, or do males perform as well?
No, so I get this a lot. The one particular event I just told you about, it was nothing but for women, because me being a woman and being a Black woman and knowing the nurturing that's necessary for us, and you always become, I think that we always become more passionate about what we never received or what we perceived that we didn't receive. So as a woman, I wanted to create that space for women, but I did smokescreen open mic, so that was an open mic for everyone. I teamed up with Lyrical Rhythms LA, and we did open mics with them. I've done little small shows. I don't just do poetry. I've done things. There was something called Party Like a Boss, where we did an interactive thing for people in business, because I wanted people to know that you, I'm a party girl. I'm the Leo. I'm a party girl. So if you think about how bosses party, then you think about the fact that most business contracts are made on the golf course, or business, or they've gone to they go to a what's it called, happy hour, and they're talking business. So when I say party like a boss, I want you to get into the mindset of partying like a boss. A boss always has business on their mind. Even if they turning up, they ain't gonna turn up too much. But so we did that, and we talked about, what are the things that your business can do? Like, what are the concepts and the necessities of business? Media, if you're talking about diversity. And so we did those. So I've done those types of shows. I've done those types of things because, I don't believe in doing things stiff shirt. I don't think I have any collars on any of my shirts, because I'm not turning down my collar for nothing.
Mm-hmm. And nor you should. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So the answer to your question is, and like I said, we did the Seven Kings. Sometimes I believe that the strength comes from pulling the male energy away from the female energy in the capacity where we are constantly blending, versus let me be on the sideline for you.
Yeah.
Like when the men came for the women, and were in the audience just giving their love and their energy to that, not saying, "Oh, I gotta be on this. I got a poem for you." No, we don't need your poems today. Just we need your support today. I want you to. I'll take your poems on Tuesday, but Wednesday, Women's Wild Card Wednesday, is you coming in to say, "Listen, I hear the queens roaring. I hear the queens crying. I hear the queens, and I'm just here to hold space." And the same for the women. When I do the Seven Kings, all the women are in the chat right along with the men, and we are supporting you in your masculinity, just like I want you to support me in my femininity. So, and then there's a time for us to blend together. There's a time for us to blend together. And
I like that.
so that, huh?
I like that.
Mm.
And before I disappear again, my phone is overheating. So just in case I disappear, that's fine.
and you're gonna come back, right? You're gonna go
Yes,
put your
ma'am.
phone under. You're gonna put your phone under a fan or something, or put it in the refrigerator for a second, and then bring your behind right back
I'm gonna switch phones, but then yeah, we're gonna be doing like some of the bewitched thing.
in a minute. Okay, got you.
Just
So
don't you
go
don't
ahead.
you go and get in a closet, Gemini. We don't want you to overheat. Oh, she's spinning. Looks
Yeah.
like we're going to lose her.
So so I do believe that there is time for men to be with men and women to be with women, and then for us to come together. So I don't want my men to ever think I got poetry about loving my men. So I don't want men to ever think that I think that we have this thing twisted about women's empowerment.
Yeah.
There is this stench over women's empowerment that a lot of men will be like, "Oh, she does that women's empowerment. I can't be a part." No, you are got to be a part. You
Yeah.
have to be a part. You cannot empower a woman without having a male energy there. And likewise, you can't empower a man without having the feminine energy as well. So
Yes.
that is my belief. That is not, it is not written in stone, but that is what Miss Parker feels, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I think I couldn't agree more because I think sometimes as a male, just sitting there, not worrying about you performing anything, just sitting there listening to that feminine voice,
Yeah.
I think it's important,
Yeah.
and vice versa. I think it's important because I go to some women's only nights where there's no males performing, and I sit through the whole show, just hearing the views and from the feminine aspect.
Right.
I think it's important, and I think it's
Absolutely.
great that you do provide that and adhere to that as well.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Absolutely. I I see Gemini spinning. Yes, so that's part of my journey. There's so many moments where poetry is embedded and threaded. I don't think that I could breathe if I didn't listen to. I like if I never wrote or never spoke another word. If I lost my hearing and I couldn't hear poetry, or if I lost my sight and couldn't read it, then I think then my world would be a very dark space.
Mm-mm. I think it's amazing, like between your normal day job and the coaching and the management, all this takes time, right? Two, three shows, whether it's on Instagram or in person. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes. So I highly commend the time and the efforts that you put in to give people that space. It takes a lot behind the scenes, you know.
Yes. And I don't have, and when you talk to people who curate shows, you don't have to tell them what it takes because
Yeah,
they know exactly what it takes to create. Hey, they know exactly what it takes to create a space, but they also know we don't talk about, a lot of times we don't talk about the pitfalls of it. Like I curate these shows and I pay for flyers because I don't know how to do a flyer, and it's a free show. I don't charge anything. We
yeah.
don't charge anything here on Instagram. And so there's a lot of work to go in. But though the monetary is not there, the bigger picture is, I believe, and I always tell people, we negate the resources and the money, not the money, but the richness of
Mm,
relationships. That is so important. And the whoever, whatever name you call the creator, is listening and watching. You can't outwit the creator.
mm.
So if you're taking care of his or her people, whichever way you believe, then you're rich beyond your measure, because before there was this paper dollar, there was trade. Before there was this paper dollar, there was, I do apples, you do oranges. I'm gonna give you 6 apples, you gonna give me 6 oranges, and so and then we've gotten into a place where this dollar is is compromising our humanity.
Yep. And it has
And
for a long time.
and it has
Since its
for a
inception, it
long
has.
time. So, and we've gotten to chase this dollar that doesn't mean anything, because the value will depreciate according to the way the powers see fit.
Yep.
You know, but and so they make you believe that you're worth this $100 or you're worth this $25 an hour. They make you believe it, but there's no price that can be given to you. Like when I talk to all of the people who have come on my platform, I've said to them, even if you told me it was $300 for you to come to my show and I paid you for that, that is not what your value is. That is what you have chosen to place as a decent amount for you to buy, to pay a gas bill, to pay a mortgage, or whatever it is. But your value is priceless.
Exactly.
So I believe that was my whole heart. I work more, I work harder to give a free show than I've ever worked to do one that I get paid for. That, which is so crazy to me. And you know what I'm saying, because you and Gemini got to call people 3 and 4 times to get a picture. I know I was part of that group. Like, by the way, let me just put this out here. If you are asked to be a feature on IG or off IG, get the damn pictures to the people, get the bio to the people, because then the people look like they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and they didn't ask you 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago for your stuff. So and so Jim and I had asked me. I said I could have sworn I sent that to you, but that's okay. We're gonna stop and do it now, because I know the headache that it is to need something and can't get it from them. Then the person, because like I said, I have to pay for my flyers. I'm not like Gemini. I can't make these flyers up, or whoever else is. So my person is like, where are the pictures? And then you still want 2 weeks to advertise this thing, and I ain't got my pictures. So I'm like, yeah, but I'm waiting for such and such to get me it. So if you're ever asked to be a feature for anything, get the damn pictures in the bio to the people.
It's understandable. Life gets busy, but you're right. You know, there is a lot that goes behind. We've actually booked people up right up until pretty much bar 2 shows, I think, almost for the rest of the year, and trying to, because we want to retain the quality of the featured guests. So, and everybody has a day job that keeps them busy as well. So trying to line up times and a lot goes in. And as I'm not sure if you're aware, after posting it on Instagram, I also download it and I create a video of the feature that I'll post on YouTube, and I also do an audio file and create a podcast of it. And that would take me many hours by the time, waiting for things to download, upload, blah, 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 and create it. It's a lot of effort, but it's we elect to invite a guest, and it's our commitment to them to really showcase their work as best as we can, because you never know who watches these, right?
Right.
And it might be that person that hears your work that really needed to hear it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. That is the soul work that poetry is. And by the way, I would definitely like a download of this interview, because I know my PR person gonna say you didn't get no footage. You didn't get no footage. That's what I'm gonna hear. Because now I can say I have a PR person. So I've been doing this by myself for a very long time.
Well,
but
I can't hear anybody, and Instagram is doing the most.
Poetry is worth it.
So what I'll do when I post this, I'll add you and Gemini as a collaborator so that you can post it on your own page as well. When I create and upload the YouTube and the Spotify podcast, I'll send you those links and you can use those as well. So I'll message you those links to those as well.
So Any other questions for me? We went through my humble beginnings of becoming a poet. I think I found a place called Vibrations in LA after my mother passed away, and I sat there every Sunday and did writing prompts. So that was one of the things that I did in finding my voice, because they were like, it's nice that you do poetry, your mother's poetry. And I'll probably just take a moment to do my mother's poetry in honor of her.
I was going to suggest that I'd love to hear some of your mum's work. And we've been going for an hour and we haven't got into the poetry. So let's get into the poetry in
Let's
this
do
second hour. And love to hear anything that your mum wrote and your own work, of course, as well. So love it.
it. Okay. I can't. Do you hear Gemini? Because I don't hear her and I don't see her. She's there.
She came on. There was a big time lag. She's dropped off, and I guess she's probably going to get back on again because she came on, but she seemed really like a big lag. She was like minutes
Okay.
behind.
Well,
So
I'll do my mom's poetry because I know that Gemini has a couple of poems that she probably wants to hear from me. So I'll wait
yep.
till I can actually see her pretty face. Okay. So this is my mother's poem. It's called Serpent's Lair. I close my eyes. I cannot sleep. In the shadows, terrors creep. Cold, cold hands grip my trembling heart. I should have known him from the start. Lips that curl and smile to mock as he slithers beneath the rock. Where I go, he lingers near, filling me with pain and fear. The serpent raised his ugly head, his insidious appetite. He desires fed. I thought I knew the road too well to fall into the jaws of hell. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Okay. There was a lot of power in there. There was a lot of poor old Gemini. She's in and out. That is phenomenal, actually.
Thank you.
Touches. She was obviously a very deep thinking lady that really reflected a lot on the meaning of life and what life actually means. Why are we here? And I
Yeah.
get the gist that she was somebody who, and I love that that in people because I'm like that. I don't look at what's ahead. I look at it going, now why does this happen? And I always like I'm a seeker. I seek for that truth.
Yeah. And
Okay, I cannot see
I
Miss
think
Parker and I
that
cannot hear
one
her.
of the things I loved about my mother's place is that where she was stolen, where vulnerability was stolen from her, she was able to retrieve it in her pen and her pad.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is another one from her. Her name was Yvonne Adams, and so I'll say her name. So this one is one of my favorites. It's called Promise. Hold me close within your arms, if I should begin that sleep, and whisper in my silent ear that your love for me is deep. Kiss me tenderly upon my lips to call me from that shore, away from that cold, dark place where lovers love no more. Wrap me tight in your embrace and tell me you love me true, and I will fight my way through that night and live once more for you.
Where lovers love no more. Wow, that really captured the whole essence of authentic love.
Yeah. And a love's promise is very deep. Like, what would it feel like to know that you, through love, you have the power to defy death just by a certain kiss, by a certain caress, that you feel that the love is strong enough that you can fight love, that you can fight death.
Mm. Mm.
So that
Love is that
and I was
love is that
gonna say,
catalyst that drives everything we do in life, doesn't it?
yeah. Well, love. I always say love is God's language. You can be fluent in God, in the Creator, if you just love a little bit
Mm.
more. And so for me, I always loved that poem, and it was one of those things about being a lover. You know, when I first interpreted the lover part, like when she says, "Hold me close within your arms if I should begin that sleep, and whisper in my silent ear that your love is deep." I used to think of a man and a woman, but when my mother transitioned, I realized that all I had to do was call her name.
Hmm.
And all I had to do was be in touch, in that even though she physically isn't here, that she's still here. And she would, and the end of the poem, it says, "And I will fight my way through that night and live once more for you." And I was like, that is the point, that my mother lives through me being able to express her poetry. For me, with the love that I have for poetry and that she instilled in me, she is here with me. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I resonate with that very much so. I lost my father when I was 12, and we were very close, and to date, he's still around me. Whenever I'm in a dark place and I reach out and he's there, and the answers just come to me. So I really, really resonate with what you're saying. Uh,
I,
and she will always live through you.
yeah. She lives with me. You know, there are times, I can't believe I'm sharing this, but Spirit is saying, go ahead. So I remember there was a time, like my family are very spiritual, and my family ha- have an opportunity to communicate with people who have moved on, and I did not want that. I was like, don't be showing up, Mama. Don't be showing up. Don't be walking around. Don't be coming up to me while I'm still here. Don't do that. And I think she respects that. But I know when you're tuned in and you are tapped in, I know. So there was a story. My mother and my grandmother had passed away, and I was at a friend's house, and I was picking her up to go to the store. And um, she lived, and there was an older woman who lived right next door. And so she was like, "I want you to come and see my dolls. I want you to come see my little figurines." And I was like, in my mind, I was like, and at the time I was thinking about my mom and my grandmother, and I was feeling slumber. And she was like, "Come on and come see them." And my mother raised me right, because in my mind I was like, I don't want to go see nothing. I want to sit here in this darkness that I'm in. And so I said, fine, I'm gonna go, and I'm go see this stuff. So in her garage, she had bookcases that had ballerinas, black clowns, and then black firemen, and black, so all these little. And then I come to the last bookcase, and it is an elephant and a Buddha together, and I just started to cry,
Mm.
because I knew it was my mom and my grandmother talking to me, because my grandmother's motif is the elephant, and my mother was a Buddhist. And so seeing the two together and being called to come see the two together let me know they were together. And I asked the lady, why did you, because she was Christian. I said, why do you have Buddhas, one? And why did you put the Buddhas and the elephant together? And she said, it felt like they belonged. So
Mm.
every time I see a Buddha and an elephant together, I know it's my mom and my grandmother communicating with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Gemini keeps coming in, but she says she can't hear you when she comes on. That's why she's coming in and out. Can you see her when she comes on?
I don't. She's just a circle rolling. And did you kick her? Did you go in and physically kick her out so that she can come back in?
No, she's been coming in. She's come in about 3 times, but every time she comes in, she can't hear you, so she drops out herself again. Like at the moment, she's not on the screen. But when she
So
comes on, she's having trouble hearing you. She can hear me, I think, but she can't hear you. So let's see what she comes.
So would you like me to drop down and come right back in and then see if we can set it that way?
Let's
Because
see what, if Gemini, let Gemini come back in, and we might do that if let her come back in. Gemini, do you want to try again? And let's. Here she is. She's
because
coming in now. I'll try and bring
because
up.
on my side she's never left. She's just circling on my side.
Now it's not even. Now we've got hit with that Instagram bug, and it's not. Let me try and bring her up manually. See what happens.
Trust me, I understand this. We all,
Here she is.
anybody who's been on the Instagram live knows.
I still cannot see or hear Miss Parker.
But can you hear and see me?
Yes,
I definitely
but I cannot
see
hear
you
her
and hear
at
you.
all. I cannot see her or hear her. It'll be one thing if I couldn't see her, but I cannot see her and I cannot hear her.
So, Miss Parker, maybe we'll try that. Do you want to drop down and try and rejoin?
Yeah.
Because Gemini can't see or hear you, but she can
Okay.
see and hear me.
Okay, I'll drop
I
down.
know. Oh my gosh. Oh, the torture.
Lucky you.
Oh, the torture.
Let me try and bring Miss Parker because I don't think she can. I think the requests have also, we've been hit by the bug as well, so I don't think there can be any requests come up as well. Maybe.
Well, if the bug has hit us, then that means we have to restart.
No, I was able to bring you up.
Okay. It's
So
just me then.
I'm trying to bring Miss Parker up now.
I'm trying to prevent my phone from overheating. It doesn't want to cooperate.
I'm glad you didn't get in the closet and start overheating yourself.
You know what, Rainier? We're going to talk after this.
Let me try and get Miss Parker up.
And do you see her? Because
Here we are. Can you hear
there's
and
my
see me?
baby. I couldn't hear
Okay,
your voice. It was torture, complete and utter torture. It was just Rainier on the screen in a black box with nothing and no sound.
Oh my God.
No.
So you missed all the poetry, but I didn't do the poems you like. Don't worry about it.
I heard some of it because I jumped on the other phone to listen. And I'm like, I just went all dramatic, like, oh, I can't hear her.
I love it when you get dramatic. There's always time. I'm a Leo, so it's always time for dramatics.
Yes.
So,
And the Geminis can be dramatic, can't they?
yes.
Okay, you know what? I'm not going to say another thing. I'm going to be good. Karma's being kind, so I'm going to be good. If you could see what I've done to my phone for it not to overheat.
I listen, you can take that picture later. So, so would you like another piece?
I
Yes.
can't get enough of it.
Those
two pieces from your mum. So here's a question. Her material that you obviously have with you, have you ever thought about collating that and getting that out there? I know she couldn't make the stage in getting it out there in terms of book forms because I think your mum had a lot of wisdom in her work. There was a lot of power and a lot of depth in there.
Yes. So one of the things that I need to do is that my mother left me with 2 different stories that she wrote, 3 different stories she wrote. And right now I am looking for an artist to draw the character. And then what we have done is we have infused poetry as part of the character of this young lady that is her heroine. So I'm looking forward to pulling that out and letting people see that. Hopefully by the end of the year, I will have my first draft of it. I always did my mother's poetry in open mics, and then when we opened up the show for the Spoken Word Voices Heard Women's Amateur Poetry Slam, I would have someone read her poem. So yeah, my mother's poetry will still be out there, the parts that I could find. But back in the day, it was written on paper, and we have moved. And back in the day, the poems that I have that are dear to me, I remember reciting one of my mother's poems to my mom, and she was like, I forgot that I wrote that. And I have
Yeah.
no. So one day we were sitting at the kitchen table, and I just started reciting her poetry to her so she could write it. The gift I gave my mother was the gift she gave me. And so there were some poems that were lost. If I had not memorized them, they would be lost
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Should
Wow.
get them down on paper. Yeah.
Yeah. They're on paper now.
Uh,
They're on paper now. And so, yeah, so that's the thing. And then the journey for Miss Parker was being going to a writing class and doing prompts and getting up to recite for 15 minutes and being shy about it. And I think, you hear about women and people saying that they become someone else when they are on stage. And I do believe that that is the persona of Miss Parker is all in your face. But Ieshya is someone who is, Ieshya is someone who is very timid, very nice, very quiet, and loves her. That's the introvert in me, is that person. But Miss Parker knows that there's a charge on her life where I know that if I don't step up, then I'm giving other people permission to step up when I step up.
yep. Yep.
Mhm.
And when I'm scared to do something most, then the growl comes, the lion shows up, and the fight comes. And because then I'm saying, how many other people are going to be muted if I don't? I always say people are not dying to hear you speak. Someone is waiting to live through your words. So
Mm.
they're waiting to live
Yeah.
when you're speaking. No one's dying to hear you speak. Someone's waiting to live. Someone's getting permission to live out loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen.
The floor is yours, Miss Parker. Let's hear more of your poetry.
Okay.
Now that Gemini's back and not overheating.
Okay. Well, I don't know if she'll overheat again now, so let's just get the growl out first, right?
Oh my God. I can't. I'm just the two of y'all talk back and forth because I'm not doing all
No,
this blushing.
Gemini, no, I did not come on here not to talk to you, so don't do that.
Yeah.
Listen, I will take a flower out of your hair. Don't play with me.
Miss Parker.
This is great. I'm enjoying this.
Hush, Rainier.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. They placed a collar around your neck, stripped you of your claws, told you when, where to shit. And now you have the audacity to bring your ass to the jungle. Oh, kitten, my dear kitten, I've been scratched by bigger claws than yours, hunted, tracked by beasts stronger, scarier, confronted by worthy adversaries. So you, my little domesticated animal, your claws don't affect me. Your bite, insignificant, ineffective, no less than an annoyance, like what do you call it? Like a gnat without the capacity to masticate. Your claws are not sharp enough to break the skin. Your teeth, premature. Your digestive system, well, it's underdeveloped. You're not ready to taste all of this femininity. Stick to catnip before I do more than nip your ass. Go play with your kind. Well, I'm just trying to be kind. Well, you're just a cute little pussy. Non-threatening little pussy. Let me remind you, you're in the lion's den. I hunt for a living. Mark my prey. Pray I don't catch whiff of you. Something more than gibberish. Do y'all smell that? I know jealousy when I smell it, even if it's camouflage masked as confidence. Little kitty in lion's clothing, I think it's cute. You like to play dress up. Keep toying with this feline. You're going to get snatched up. I see you. I smell you. You don't fool me, cute little pussy. Just remember, pussies were meant to be fucked. Now go, crawl back under that litter box from which you came. And remember, don't wake this beast. Thank you.
Now, that was one of your own pieces, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. The empowerment there, the empowerment, the encouragement. Gemini's come back and she can't hear you. She dropped off and now she can't hear you. Gemini, can you hear me? Drop down and I'll try and bring you up instead of you putting a request, because that seemed to work. Maybe try that. Do you want to drop down and I'll drag you up?
If you kick
Thank
me out and bring
you
me back up,
guys.
because I
I
dropped down the last
appreciate
one, I
the
came back up and
comments in
still the same thing.
there.
Okay. I've been dying to do that, to kick her out.
Y'all give it up for your host, Gemini, and all your what is that going on? She's circulating. Y'all give some love to Gemini for getting in here. You know what we didn't do? We didn't claim that the IG demon wasn't gonna mess with us. So I'm gonna claim it now. She gonna come back in here and we're gonna be fine.
Now, how are we going? Can you hear everybody?
Yes. I can hear you, but I can't
joined
hear
on my
Gemini.
Android and I cannot
Rainer.
hear. I can hear you,
Can
but
you
I cannot hear
hear
or
me?
see Miss Parker.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
Gemini
All right.
can't,
Cannot
but
hear or see
Gemini
Miss
can't
Parker,
hear.
and I can't see you.
You can't hear or see her, is that correct?
No.
Correct, and I cannot
just see her
see you
finger
because I jumped on my Android.
on the screen.
So I'm going to go ahead and drop off.
And do you want me to try and bring you back up?
And my iPhone's overheating and my Android will not cooperate either.
They don't want us to be great today.
It seems
but
that once I drop off,
anyway.
if Miss Parker's in before me, it does not allow me to go ahead and come in and see her and experience her voice.
Is she talking?
Yes, she's talking. She can't hear or see you. We might have to do that again. Do you want to drop down and try to come back up?
That's fine. I'll do that.
Okay.
Miss Parker left. Let me see what happens now once. Oh, geez. Instagram's been having all kinds of crazy things, and it's really sad because it's really killing the dynamics of the energy of the shows as they're going. Okay, let's try this. Gemini, I'm bringing you up, and then let's bring Miss Parker up and see. Now,
Nothing
can you hear
kill
and see me?
Yes, nothing can kill my dynamic with Miss Parker.
No, it kills the dynamic of the show, the energy. I mean, like I really love that piece that she just read, and now to restart and build that energy again.
No, stop saying that. You don't have to restart and build anything. Miss Parker is a supernova. She can come and ignite in the same spot with the same fire. Not affected at all. And I've heard that piece plenty of times. I'm glad you got a chance to hear it.
Miss Parker, did you want to put in a request, or did you want me to try and bring you up? Because I can see you in the room. Maybe I'll try and bring her up. Oh, Hannah, she's putting a request, so let's bring her up. Okay, now I hope this works.
It will.
Hi, Miss Parker.
Hello, love.
I hear and see her. We're good.
Oh, good, good,
I don't know.
very.
You keep heating up my phone, man. I'm holding an
So,
ice on my phone's back, like literally.
So,
so the poem I wrote, it's called, they call it the jungle poem. They call it the lion's poem. I call it the lion sleeps tonight. It was inspired by a situation that happened to me because I'm a poet and I'm gonna write this shit out. Um, what had happened was I felt small for a moment. I had an encounter with a young lady. I hear an echo, so I don't know if it's somebody's microphone.
Gemini's, I think.
So okay. So I had a moment with a young lady, and I'm a plus size woman, and I pride myself on the sexiness of who I am. It doesn't come from my physicality; it comes from my knowing who I am and my creator, and also knowing the divine energy, feminine energy that I hold. And she was thinner, she got the heels on and everything, and she made a smart remark, and I had to remember who the fuck I was. And so that poem was for me to remember that sometimes people's triggers will come for you, and
Yeah,
you have the option to be triggered, or you have the opportunity to shoot, and I chose to shoot.
yeah,
So the lion's poem is just reclaiming my energy and knowing that I'm a grown ass woman.
yeah.
And so yeah, that poem is about that.
Well, you certainly captured that amazing with the lines, and sometimes we need that self dialogue to help us to rise above whatever we see as our challenges, don't we?
And you can see certain people who come to you who are wounded. And so when I say non-threatening little pussy, because I know that and it's cat, it means cat, they call them pussy cat. So all y'all who thought something else, get your minds out the gutter. um
No.
so when someone comes for you in a way with their brokenness on their sleeves, you can understand that even through this persona of being the best, baddest be out there, that no, for you to take the time to try to belittle me is because you haven't worked on yourself.
Generally, it's a reflection of your own insecurities, your own gaps in your own life that we portray on other people, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's just deflecting from what we need to look at within ourselves. We try to lay it on somebody else just to take the pressure off looking at
absolutely,
ourselves.
absolutely. So that's one of my aggressive poems.
Mhm.
I will do a poem that was inspired by Etta James, and those young folks, if you don't know who Etta James is, go look her up. And the poem and the song was "I'd Rather Go Blind." And so a girlfriend and I were sitting down, and we decided to give each other a writing prompt from song. And so her writing prompt was "I Love Me Some Him" by Toni Braxton. And then she said, well, Tamar Braxton did "I'd Rather Go Blind." And she was like, do you know the song "I'd Rather Go Blind"? I said, Etta James, because that's what I know, right? And then she said, no, Toni Braxton does one. I mean, Tamar Braxton does a poem, does a song. So I listened to Tamar Braxton's song, and I was like, there's no depth to it for me. It was a very commercialized "I'd Rather Go Blind." So then I went back and listened to Etta James, and the richness of, like, the passion and it leaps off into it. It just infects your ears and affects your body when you hear Etta James sing "I'd Rather Go Blind." It takes you in that space. So this poem is called "I'd Rather Go Blind." I think there's an audio I'm hearing. Okay. Detached retinas pull away from supportive tissue as I watched your lips softly brush against hers. Judgment, clouded by tears flowing from LACMA glands, won't allow me to move. So this is where you go at night. Dim lights, quiet corners, champagne glasses got you booed up with another. You snatched the color from my lines. Now I stroll in shadows of gray. I can't bear to watch. I lost my sight that night. It is too late to walk away. I am already here, already fully invested. So I place blue velvet veil over honesty. Refuse to swallow truth serum. Old lies glaze over new ones, bury themselves in the back of your throat. Dishonesty spews from twisted tongue. Larva of deception coats the rim of your mouth. Kiss me. Kiss me into darkness. Cashmere my lenses, Angora my cornea. Sight is overrated. I'd rather go blind, cataracts by your love. It is too hard to walk away, so I'll just close my eyes to the truth and continue to love you. Thank you.
Ah, you knew that I could not miss this, that I could not miss this, that I could not miss this. I love that piece. I love both of the pieces, but I really, really love that piece.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love you too. Thank you. Thank you guys. I see you in the comments. I appreciate you.
Rainier, you still on mute. You see, I could have just stayed and not said anything. But here I am being a great co-host.
So nice. To say that there were so many beautiful lines would be an understatement, because every line in that piece was amazing, very empowering, truths, sentiments, and your delivery just delivered it, every line, every word, with so much conviction, so much authenticity, so much passion, that from a genuine place, not theatrics, but authentic, heartfelt. You felt what you were reading, and in turn, me as a listener, I was so absorbed into it. That was phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think I've seen brilliant writers and they recite it by rote, but that passion, that emotion, that authenticity is not there. Or there's a lot of theatrics that deviate from the Miss Parker. You truly are great. That was amazing. I
Thank you.
would love to hear that in person from you.
Ooh.
Without the electronic voice of a
Thank
phone.
you. I,
And I
I,
hope I'm blessed with that opportunity one day to do that.
that poem for me, I'm a Etta James fan. I have had the pleasure of having um, Songbird do the singing of that song before I do that poem. I've also had the pleasure of my nephew doing a dance to the poem with me. So it's a very special poem to me as well. I when I am thinking of passion and I'm thinking of the hurt that it must feel like when you find, and I've been there, you know, when you find someone that you love that you've invested a whole lot of time in, love, sweat, tears, resources, and just your heart to see them with someone else. I can't even imagine, or I can imagine what that feels like and the power of that. So yeah, thank you. Thank you guys. I'm reading some of it, but then my eyes get blurry because I'm over the age of 21. So
So if
Well,
on that note you want Miss Parker to see your comments and to receive your flowers, please go ahead and put at ms.parker_speaks so that when the live is over, it comes up in her notifications. That way she does not miss the flowers that you're giving her.
thank you. I didn't
You're
know that. I learned me something new today. So I'm not sure if I know this poem. This was one of my older poems, but it's one also. Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can get it out, and then I'll do one more poem, and then you'll tell me what you need from me, and if you have questions, just ask. Detached red. No, that's okay. Here we go. This is called Ex-Lover. Ex-Lover. She may take up residency in your physical space. Hold equity in your home. Lie in your bed. Wear pretty on your arm. I am red, white blood cells and cobalt blue veins. I am breath, suffocation, metaphysics transferred from sacral to cerebellum. I am mechanized needles injecting ink into dermis, penetration to skin, color to flesh. You were branded mine, wearing me on your sleeve. How could you ever forget me? I am throat, esophagus. Swallow your existence. I am encephalon, brain matter. I am the only thing that matters. I am home cooked meals, bath water, massage you, fuck you, then put you to sleep. I am rewind. I am repeat. I am the memories that dance on your eyelids. Insomnia, your nights, wet, your dreams. I am cold sweats, hot flashes, nightmares, hallucinations, and you wonder after 25 years why you haven't forgotten me. I am throat, esophagus, swallow your existence. I am something all brain matter. This is why you stalk my page. Like my status. Ring my phone just so you can feel something. There is no you without the breath of me. Thank you.
what a perfect last line. What a perfect last line. And that piece, I think everybody in this room or everybody who hears it would be able to relate to that. There is that past that we never forget, do we? Things might not have worked out, um, but there's a lot in that journey. I myself got divorced after 20 years of being with my ex-wife, and I've got nothing to fault her about. We just grew apart, and in those 20 years, yes, she was a lot of things, a lot of impact of on where I am and who I am today in molding me. You know, she and our children as well.
Yeah. Well, mine was my ex. First of all my ex come back and tell me that they made mistakes, and I know they literally. I've had 25-year-old come, but I asked my sister one day. I was like, "Why is he calling me after 25 years? Like, why are you on my Instagram telling people that you and I didn't work when you conveniently don't tell the whole story, but you tell that, you know, you would have loved me regardless, but you would have loved me black and blue if I let you. So
Mm.
I it was one of those things to understand that when you get in the skin of someone, when you get in the skin of someone, when you deal with the biological of infiltrating that person's psyche, that person's body, that they can't forget you, especially when you were that good and it was their triggers and their lack of maturity that grew you guys apart. And so that came from that space of power of understanding, oh no, you a good woman. You the shit, and you're gonna have to remember that. So that's how that poem emerged. You know, sometimes there's always a catalyst for a poem. There's a catalyst for a poem.
Always, always. I say that life is a prompt.
It is.
So life,
You know,
never ending prompt.
always say there's a prompt and everything. You know, in the insomniacs, you know, we found prompts in just conversation. Poets speak in poetry. You know, they don't need a pen and a paper to really do a poem. They just gotta. You talk to them long enough, you're gonna get poetry.
Yeah.
That's what she would make us do. Miss Parker would say, "Tell me about your day," and each person would go. And while we're speaking, each person is speaking. She's pulling out a prompt, whether it was a phrase or a word. A lot of times, it was just a word. And I have them in my phone. I have it. Miss Parker speaks. And I have each prompt, if I have the person, and I always try to have the person's prompt, and I try to write down each person's prompt, what you were saying, and then put the asterisk next to what I was choosing for my poem, and then write the poem underneath it. So I've paid homage to you on several different platforms, including in person, when I say I wrote this in Miss Parker's Insomniacs workshop on Zoom during the pandemic. And I said these were the prompts, and then I would go ahead and I would give the poem. That's one of the reasons why I like Ram so much. And I love Ram because I love you.
No, I love Ram too. Listen, I met Ram late. I can give homage to so many poets out there. I hear differently, and so that was one of the things when it came to writing poetry, but listening to poetry. And when you said, you know, we were in the Insomniacs, and the first thing I was, because we always want to put the cart before the horse. So and so I want to say we put the poem before the poet. And so putting the poet in the driver's seat, that's the poet is the richness of that the poet is the ink, and the page is what comes out of it. And so therefore, for me, it's one of those things, is that life experience
Mm.
and life being bought is what makes the poet,
Mm.
you know? And so when we were in class and we had the debriefing of how the day went, and everybody was able to be, as Mr. Witz would say, everybody was able to be naked. But just for FYI, Mr. Witz was the only one naked in the room. So I just want you to know that. But being vulnerable, I'll use the word vulnerable because being naked up in here is Mr. Witz's thing. But being vulnerable and really being able to feel comfortable, safe, and secure, I am honored that that the Insomniacs was a space that people felt that. To tell me that today is a fucked up day and I barely got through it, and to cry. I've had grown men cry in the Insomniacs, and their tears were celebrated and housed and protected, and no one judged. And so when those types of moments come is where you get where you get to the root of the potential of the poem, you know? And so that was so much more for me. Insomniacs was so much more than just writing prompts.
Mm.
Insomniacs was so much more than just creating art. Art is art is tears on the floor. Art is, I barely made it through today, but I showed up for me, and I showed up for other poets. That is what poetry is about. And then we go to work for a poem.
Mm.
Just from the comments alone, you can see the authenticity that you brought to the table was well received by all the guests, and I think that's the important thing, right? Not try to be what the people want to see or what we think they want to see, but just being you. And in your words and in this conversation we've had over the last hour and 45 minutes, I can sense that authenticity in you, in every word you that leaves your mouth, in the pieces you recited, in the conversations we've had. All the time, what I really admire is I'm speaking to the person, not what I wanted to see or what you thought I wanted to see. And Miss Parker, that is a trait that I treasure and I think should be treasured.
Yes.
I,
Exactly.
I, I, I receive that. I'm going to take a beat and take a breath to receive and take that in. If we all come to the table as our whole self, the broken pieces, the fragmented pieces, the burnt pieces, the ashes of the pieces, if we took all of that and threw it on a canvas, we would be a mosaic piece. We would be a piece of art. And so the more authentic we get with ourselves, the less we go out there deflecting, the less there is pain, the less once you do, the more authentic we can become with ourselves, we won't have people hating on other people. Because that hatred is the hatred that you have for yourself, that you are bleeding onto someone else. And so I am a love spirit and always have been. And the only way that I can combat any other force is to just go deeper into love. And I hope with the Insomniacs, when we return, that people get that. And when I get my book out, when I get my journal out, it is one of those things that you take that walk for yourself, because whether I get a dime for it, or I get $150,000, or I get a thank you, I have invested in you saying yes to yourself, because this has nothing to do with me, but everything to do with you. And if you can say, well, Miss Parker said this at this point in my time, and it clicked for me. You know, all these inspirational speakers say the same thing. It's just, what vibration are you on? What vibration are you on that you can tap in and use that resource that they got to make you a better person? So you've got to find who are the people in your tribe that do that for you. And so, yeah, I thank you guys for giving this platform, for everyone that you give it for, but allow me coming on to share my gift, to share my story, and to share what y'all call my wisdom.
And that is the
Well,
thing. Someone had asked me what I consider gibberish. And just like taking the Bible out of context, or any piece of wisdom out of context, and by pulling out one word, you miss the entire meaning. The show is called Something More Than Gibberish. You are the something, the poet behind everything we're hearing without understanding, the clarification of things that we have in our interpretation. What is the interpretation that you intended? And a lot of times, when a poet is authentic, the interpretation that the audience member has and the interpretation that the poet intended is matched. And that's what we're looking for in Something More Than Gibberish. The intent and what is received, is it the same? And that's what we found. We found that poets who are very authentic and vulnerable with their work, we discover what we already knew, but now we share that with everybody else.
Yeah. I think it's important. I can't read what people are saying because now everything is a blur. However, I will say this. Mr. Wicks, Gemini, I know you very close, and thank you, Mr. Wicks, for being in the audience. The more authentic I can get with myself, the real I can get with myself, whether I'm telling you the story of someone else, I'm putting the passion in. I've stepped into the shoes of that person. I've stepped into the shoes of that situation, and how would I respond to it? And the compassion that I have. If you are writing something for me to see it, I guess Gemini said you can put at Miss Parker, and then I'll be able to read them later. But the more that you come into who you are, then the more that you can empathize with someone else. And that's where the passion takes place. And poetry is the foundation. Spoken word and poetry are the foundation for all art, because you have to speak before you can sing. You have to speak before you can rap. And this is my interpretation. Somebody might disagree, but you are entitled to that. It was the poet. The poet is the beginning. Rap comes from poetry. Melodies that lyrics that dance on melodies are poems.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we start to separate ourselves from those things, we're doing exactly what society says. Let's keep them separated. Let's keep them separated. That's how we say, oh, well, rappers can get this money because of blah, blah, blah. But the foundation, I think poetry is the mother. And I always say that poetry is the mother of everything else. So the mother never really gets her flowers like that. Poetry never gets her flowers like someone else. And so people tell me I'm a screenwriter, but then I hear in your screenwrite, or I see the movie that you produced, and you said it was almost like they snatched my soul out of my body, and I lie hovering over the remains of my physical. That is a fucking poem.
Mm, mm, mm,
In the lining of a film, you
mm.
are a poet before anything else. So I don't believe in I don't believe. I think poetry needs its respect.
Mm.
I think poetry needs its money. I'm coming for poetry's money.
Mm. Yep, very true, very true. Each week I always thank the audience in the room for their comments, because I think it helps the featured guests to give more of themselves. And Miss Parker, the comments today, like MC Lee 104, you lit a creative fire under me, Miss Parker speaks.
Oh,
Like um, to a previous conversation, spit raw, no truer words spoken. She literally told me the same thing yesterday, damn near verbatim. Right? When you write with intention and you are vulnerable, the listener will feel it and understand what was meant. These comments all show, and Tia and Nicole and Mr. Witz have been putting numerous comments. These comments really reflect on what you bring, what you give of you to people, and how many lives you inspire from who you are.
thank you.
And this is just in the Instagram community. There'll be numerous people in your live presence, that people in your day-to-day life that you interact with. Miss Parker, all I can say is the world needs more people like you.
Oh, thank
I
you.
firmly believe in that pebble in the pond, that one little thing we do, one little word, can have endless impacts. And I think you are living proof of that.
Thank you. So I would love to do this last poem for Miss Gemini.
I don't like that laugh.
Um, yeah, this poem is called, and it's all, oh, I didn't talk about my album. My album will be dropping very soon.
We'll talk about what you've got coming up after this piece. Yeah.
Okay. So this will be on the album. There's some amazing people on this album with me, so pray for me, okay, and hope it comes out safely. I'm finally ready to birth this baby. So this poem is called Musical Notes. Most of you probably have heard it. I hear an echo. Okay, let me see. Okay, here we go. Is it wrong for me to tell you, you ruined me? Burnt my taste buds, tattooed your flavor on my tongue. So now everything tastes bland when you're not sprinkled on it. Is it wrong for me to tell you I taste you after you have left my lips naked? Why? Why would you ever leave them exposed? Dress my mouth, clothe it with the satin chocolate covered quarium of you. Drape me in your strength, finger painting me into wardrobe of last night's entanglement, your body. Your body promised me things your mind can't imagine, can't control. Give up control. Let instincts take over. Bend me over, manhandle me free. I am safe here to lie down my armor. No more warrior, just princess in your arms. You promissory noted my linen with a vow of your return. You own real estate here in my bed. It is your property. Do as you will. Signs read, warning, no trespassing permitted. Owner will shoot on sight. I couldn't imagine the sight of no one else lying there. Is it wrong for me to tell you you fucked up my sheets like music? Stringed me into hearts, blew me into winds, percussioned me into consent, baseline me into compliance, symphonied me into orchestras while you beck for steam, fortayed me into melodies that never stop playing. And I never want to stop playing with your keys. Thank you.
That's a great piece to as a parting piece. That is wow. Now Gemini dropped off and she came back on. I don't know if she can hear you. Can you hear Miss Parker? No, she can't hear you, but she's on the screen.
I'm going to go ahead and just pull her up on a different
I don't hear
screen.
any of that.
Yeah.
You know what it is that Instagram don't want. Every time I say Gemini, this is for you. They just messing with my girl.
I think she might have swiped herself off. Unfortunately, did you swipe yourself off, Gemini? See, those clumsy fingers. She just swiped herself off, and that's funny. So if she comes up first before you, then she can hear you. But if she comes up after, if you're already on the screen, she can't seem to hear you, which is really weird. I've never seen this bug before. But Miss Parker, let's feel free to promote everything that you've got coming up. So you've got an album falling soon. What else have you got coming up? This is all about you. So feel free to share what you've got coming up that you want to promote. And
next week is Sister to Sister, a message to the Black woman on Wednesday. And then we have Smoking Pens and Pages on Fire on Thursday. I am going to be uploading my album this weekend, if God willing. So the album, I will give the date when it's coming out as soon as it gets uploaded. I am going to submit in for the Grammy whether it be at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. I will not say commit to that until I talk to the powers that be that are helping me out. So definitely, if you hear that I'm submitting for a Grammy, please support me in that. And please download the album. And it will probably be on Bandcamp, because Bandcamp is the one that is the most just about the artist. They take the smallest portion out of what you get. So you'll be able to get it off of Bandcamp, and I'm going to do a physical copy too, because I'm old school. I'm an old head. So I'm going to do a physical copy as well. I do have, follow me on It's Rated Intimate. I'm here on IG on It's Rated Intimate. That's IT Rated, RATE, Intimate, INTIMATE. It's Rated Intimate. I don't have any content there yet, but there will be. So please follow me on there. And then you can go to itsratedintimate.com. That is my website. I'm finally publicizing it. It's rated intimate.com is where you can find some of the things that I've done. And if you want to be a guest speaker on any of my platforms there. I am also trying to bring Sister to Sister to a platform landing page of physical. So I want to do smoking pens and make it a come to see me kind of thing. And so come to see the women who have hit the stage as well as the men. So that is in the works. I'm in negotiation for a spot right now. So yeah, I got a lot going on. And then because I am an intimate poet, and that's why the name of my company is called It's Rated Intimate. I'm an intimate poet. I believe in that. And I'm a coach for intimacy, because the more people are out here making love and loving on each other, the more people are not trying to fight each other and kill each other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I heard everything you said. Congratulations on all of your endeavors. You will have my support for whenever you enter your recording for the Grammys. I am so proud of you. Mama would be immensely proud of you. She is proud of you. And I can't wait to hug your neck, because you made me consider being vegan. So we need to talk.
Listen, I'm vegan-ish. I'm not vegan. I can make some bomb vegan food, but every now and then there's got to be a filet mignon somewhere and some shrimp and stuff. And I cook for everybody. I can cook the vegan stuff, or I can cook you the down home stuff. And so I've had who's come here? Rain has come here. Pat has come here and ate. Pat had shrimp and grits. Pat went to the store and bought everything to do it. So I have a blow up bed, because I don't have a. When I had a house, you had your own room, but I'm a safe landing for people to come out to LA and just be a part of the experience here. So yeah.
Awesome. Amazing.
Because my name is Naughty, and I know Sheen has come, Rain has come, Pat has come. So like
and Poet Hayes has come. So yeah, your name's in there. Her name's not in there. I don't know why her name's not in there.
I can't with you.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm about to go see this play tonight. And I am so honored to have been on your stage. And Gemini, you could ask me for anything. So thank you.
Ms. Parker, now that you mentioned it.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
You need to come to Florida. When are you coming to Florida? Come to Florida. When you come to Florida?
You know what? I'm gonna come to Florida after this heat. So you call me on the phone. I'm gonna find out what the ticket costs. You get my bed together, and for my boyfriend, my breathing machine to be on the side of me, because I don't go nowhere without him. And we will come down there, and we will. I want to eat some conch. Conch? I've never had conch, so yeah, you got to take me.
The the screen froze right when you started saying the word. So that's not what I
Get your mind out of the gutter.
the glitch was just for me. I can't. I so can't with. Oh my gosh.
If you listen, if there are any chocolate beautiful men out there, just I'm gonna be in town. I'm gonna be in town. I'm just saying.
I can't. Oh Lord, Miss Parker, it's been amazing talking to you, like always.
Thank you,
Like always.
sweetheart. They got to see what we do in the Insomniacs today.
Yeah.
They got to see that.
And like,
Miss,
and each of us have had things, moments, situations in our lives where kind of made us quiet. And
Yeah.
I'm tired of being quiet. I don't want to be quiet anymore. So you're gonna go hear a lot from me. A lot.
Listen, I'm already hearing it, and I'm so proud. And I remember the person that I talked to who said I would never. I remember her so quiet. Oh, that's not for me. I can't do that. I won't do that. And now I see you out here in these streets. So I'm proud. I'm a proud mama.
Lordy, Lord, we're going to hear more from Miss Gemini. Oh, God, Lord, help society.
I'm
Looking
helping
forward to it.
them.
Thank
The
you guys. Thank you guys for having me. It's been an honor. I look forward to seeing the replay. Hopefully, those who have made comments, I'll get to see the comments because your girl can't see the hazel. Don't let the hazel eyes fool you. They ain't worth shit. So,
They're
Miss
beautiful.
Parker,
If you did not do at Miss Parker Speaks,
uh,
when you put your comment in, please go ahead and DM her.
oh.
DM the lady. Okay? Okay.
Miss
And
Parker,
DM me if you want to be featured. But you
Miss
gotta have a
Parker,
smoking gun. Yes, sir.
my sincere thanks for coming on the show, and to say that I enjoyed every minute of it is an understatement. Uh, it's both a pleasure and an honor to have met you and shared this time with you, and to get some insight into what drives you, your pieces, your mindset, who that Miss Parker is inside. Thank you for showing your authenticity. And thank you to everybody in the room for your amazing comments and encouragement, and validating how much Miss Parker reaches, how many people, how many lives Miss Parker does reach out and touch from being her. Not doing anything special, just being her. That's all we need to do. And Miss Parker, I think you clearly show that we don't need to dress or invest in advertising in this, that we just got to be ourselves, and people will accept us for who we are and treasure who we are, just being us.
Thank you. I received that. And
And
being okay with not people accepting you. The
yeah,
most acceptance you should have is for yourself. So
yeah,
um, thank you for
yeah.
that. I appreciated being on this platform, and you are amazing hosts and the hostesses. And I will be tapping in. Please send me the little airplane when y'all go on, so that I can make it a
Yeah,
point to come and hear
yeah.
the other people that you will have on.
Now, one other thing, as I say to all our guests, this is the first time that we've featured you, but it doesn't have to be the last. As you've got big things happening, reach out to Gemini or myself, and we will be happy to bring you back on so that you get to promote whatever any big things that you've got happening.
Okay.
Because 2 hours has gone so quickly, 2 hours and 10 minutes has gone so quickly, and I feel we've just scratched the surface. So this is not the last time.
Absolutely.
It's an
Thank you.
open door for you.
Miss
Thank you so much.
Parker, I absolutely love you. Thank you so much for agreeing to be featured. I know like you have a lot that's going on. You have a lot. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your authenticity and appreciate your work. You have our favorites, and dang, did you deliver. So I'm happy that I'm able to share you with other people because you were just mine. But now you belong to everyone who's connected to Rainier and everyone who's connected to me and didn't get a chance to be in the Insomniacs group and everybody else in between. So thank you so much for showing up and showing out.
Thank you. For you, anything. And Rainier, you are now a special part of my life too, because Gemini said you was bomb. So if she said you bomb, then you bomb. Even if you fight with her, but don't fight too much, because then I got to jump in. So just
Wow, she said that about me? Oh, wow. Thanks for that. I needed to hear that. Gemini, as always, thank you. I know you battled a few difficulties, but here we are. Still, we managed to see the show out. As always, thank you. And this show wouldn't be the same without you. Do you know that we've now last show was one whole year since we've started running this show. So, and it's just got better and better. So, thank you and congratulations, Gemini. Even over a year's worth of shows, I don't think you've missed any one show where you didn't threaten to hit me in the throat. So, congratulations. Your consistency is to be applauded. Um, you
You see
never
what I deal with?
fail.
You see what I deal with. And I've been so kind.
Oh,
So-
you started the show with a threaten to bash me up, so like
And then
you never fail.
he antagonizes me and I fall for it every single time. Though that's okay though. I'm learning.
you
Yeah.
I'm learning.
know
I'm
what,
just hitching rabbit.
Rainier, it's a privilege. It is. I give passes, and she should give you a pass just because of the great and the sexiness of that beard of yours. You just absolutely.
You can give him
Thank you.
that, but I'm gonna hit him right under that
Yeah,
beard, like right
don't. You can do the throat. Don't mess with the beard face. Like
down.
don't.
Oh,
Like,
I'll leave the face. I'll leave the face for you.
leave the face alone. You can hit him on. You can step on his toes, all of that, but leave the face alone. It's the beard and the salt and pepper that's up in there. That's for me. So like he can have like a swollen lymph node right here.
You see, this is God gave him the face when he was a child to protect him, and he gave him the beard as a man to protect him. But ain't nothing gonna protect that throat from me.
Right here.
This is hilarious. Miss Parker, honestly, heartfelt thanks. It really has been a pleasure. And I hope this is not the last time that we do this because I would love to make the space available for you again to hear more of you as things grow and as your journey evolves. And also, really, thank you for also sharing a couple of pieces of your mum's as well, because in reading the bio, I really wanted to hear some of your work or your mum's work as well as we grew into it, and you did that beautifully. It was an honor to hear her work.
Thank
It really.
you. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to get off. I appreciate you. Gemini, I got about 15 minutes. Once you get off, please call me. I would love to talk to you. And you guys just stay amazing and continue to do the work that you do. And I love and adore all of you and everybody who's been on the platform, who has made a comment and all of that. And we will be to be continued, right?
Yes. Thank you, everybody who came through the room. Thank you, Miss Parker. Thank you, Gemini. Stay safe, stay blessed. Till the next time we speak.
Till
Ciao.